Welcome to Mixed Media Creations with me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill. Did you know that you could follow me on Instagram? www.instagram.com/CreativeKatie. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel or share this channel with your friends. Today we have a 5x7 mixed media mini tutorial. It's entitled Family. So here's kind of the composition. I have stamped out this Roots of Love stamp and figured out my sentiment. These are all things that I pretty much had in my stash, and I'm putting it on a 5x7 canvas board. Now this one did not come with the magnetic background, and I put that on myself. And links to both the canvas boards and magnetic sheets can be found in the description box below. And this stamp, which I love, is from Stampendous, and I'll put a link to it too if I can find it in the Amazon store. So I just played with the composition. So basically, you know, that's going to be the sole purpose of this, having this looking like this, and I just want to make a interesting background. So I played with it going in the other orientation, and I played with it this way. I put words on both sides, and I've done a little bit of playing around just to see which I like. And when in doubt, take a picture of it and then look at the picture. Sometimes that gives you the extra help when making decisions. Now, instead of making a just one color background or the whole background, I decided that I'm going to kind of make sky and grass. Now, when you don't want your picture to look flat, using multiple colors that are close to each other, so several different shades of blue. Here I've got blue and aqua and teal, and I'm just kind of mixing them very loosely with my fingers. This is kind of very painterly looking. You know, I don't want this to be 100% blended. I want that interest. This is going to represent my sky. Now, I did the same thing with the green of the grass, and I apologize that, you know, there were several tones, and you get a lot of interest right there, and that kind of gives you some texture, visual or otherwise. So I'm just drawing this. Now, for whatever reason, this Deco Arts Americana paint, some of it kind of started to crackle, and I'm not sure why. I've never had that happen before. And as always, I pre-gessoed the canvas board. So once that's dry, I decide that I want to add some more stamping and textural elements here. So I have this stamping block. It's a foliage cube, and again, it's from Stampendous. And I love using this for leaves, for grasses, and I'm just stamping into the green, dark green acrylic paint and just stamping that on. And I'm not too careful to go exactly. I don't care if it goes into the blue area because I don't want that a defined line for the horizon. So I'm just stamping that on there. Now I could have also, if I had thought of it, stamped into the wet acrylic, and that will give another effect as well. And there you can see, it just makes for the grasses. Now for the sky, I want to kind of make it look very airy and cloud-like and just add more color. So I grabbed this stencil, which was from a cut file on my silhouette. And I'm sorry, I don't keep track of where those come from. And I think this one I distort it out as well. But I like the swirl action. And I'm just using white paint with a little bit of the teal in there. And again, my purpose here is just to add some more visual texture, some pattern into the sky. Wasn't sure if this was going to give me what I expected, but I'm really happy with the end results. So look at your stencils. You don't need that particular stencil. Look at what you have and see, is there some that kind of give flowiness to it? So this is stamped on tissue paper, and I want to stamp it onto, sorry about the geese flying overhead. They're letting their presence be known. How funny is that? I'm just tapping this on napkin. This is the inside layer of the napkin. And I find that when you cut close to the edge, it becomes, the napkin part kind of melts away and becomes very translucent and almost disappears in some cases. And again, all napkins aren't going to be created equal, so there's a little bit of a trial and error here. If you watched my last video where I did the dragonfly, you'll have noted that I had trouble and some of the whites still showed through. So this time, to avoid that, I am cutting a little bit closer to this and eliminating any excess. It's up to personal choice. And as you can see, I cut more, or I stamped more than what I need, because then the other one just sits in my stash and that's on my account on my desk. And some of those days when I'm, I want to create, I just kind of look in there and that spurns on a whole other project. So now you have the colorful and stenciled and stamped background, and I'm just sampling where this is, and I'm thinning out my gel medium with a little bit of water. And I find that this helps. It just makes the gel medium and the brush just a little bit more gentle on the napkin. If you don't do this, or you're not careful enough, you can rip and remove some of the napkin. One thing that I did discover, that when you put the napkin down, if something happens and part of it later gets removed, and I've had that happen, if you just kind of dampen it, wet it a little bit, you are able to rub it off the background. Now that's only if your background is just 100% acrylic. So I like how the little bit of sky is peeking through the napkin, and this is getting fairly translucent. You can see through most of it. You can, it's not 100% clear, but you can see through a lot of it. Now that this is dried, I am getting 3 colors of just regular craft paint, and I've just put them on my craft mat. I've got kind of a burgundy, a red, and then a coral color. And I'm thinning it down a little bit just with water, and I'm just going to paint in the hearts and the trunk of the tree. Right now I have brown, and I'm just using a liner brush for that. I'm just painting it in. And because I have the liner brush, and I am going to the ends of those branches, you'll see me doing that. And I edited out a lot of that because you don't need to watch me doing it. So here I'm using those 3 colors, the burgundy, the coral, and the red. And I'm adding, every time I dip my brush, I'm kind of dipping it in different colors and putting it on so that the hearts aren't flat. They're kind of shaded as I paint them. And I'm not even going to be too terribly careful. That one you can see is a little more coral, and then the other one's a little more red, some are more burgundy, and that's the effect that I'm going for. If you like the look of it all being one color, then go with that. Now when you're using a liner brush, after a while, you may want to just clean out the acrylic paint. It tends to get caught at the end, in the ferrule part, I believe it's called. And if you rinse it out, then you can do a better job painting. Now, if you don't have craft paint, you can use, soft-bodied, paint, Liquitex Basics or whatever. You're just going to have to thin it down a little bit more in order to be able to move the acrylic paint and paint in. This corally burgundy color really, really pops against this blue background. So again, there's no way to rush this process. I could have used my Pitt artist brush pens here because there was a coat of gel medium. I could have done that. I could have used, a multitude of different coloring mediums. This is just something I feel very comfortable with. With a stamp like this, I prefer having it stamped on the napkin that kind of disappears, that you can kind of see through in amongst the branches, as opposed to stamping it on cardstock or mixed media paper, because then you would have the white there. So that's one of the reasons I did that with this stamp. But you could definitely do the opposite. It's just going to give a different look. And you kind of get, in this shot, you get a good look at the different colors that each of those hearts are. Now using the darkest red, the burgundy-ish color, I'm just doing the hearts that are the roots here. And when I start, I was only going to do the outline of this heart and the next one beside it, and then I did a few more of them, as you'll see. Start with a few and then see what happens and then go from there. But I wanted to be able to see and make out the hearts here. I didn't want to lose it in amongst all the roots. So, once again, I do have a link to my Amazon influencer store. They have pictures of the items, which is kind of handy because you don't need to look. Please check the prices and the shipping and whatnot. Take care of your crafting dollars. Wherever possible, I do put a direct link to the items as well, and I'd just like to say thank you to those of you who do shop, go through to Amazon and shop, by going through my link. I do get a small commission for that. It doesn't cost you any more. Any monies that I've earned from there, I buy craft supplies, more painting supplies that I can then do more videos with. So I'd just like to thank you. I have no way of knowing who goes through the doors. That's privacy. But I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank those of you that do. I really appreciate it. So as you can see, there's a lot of finicky work here. You know, as usual, creating the background is the quick, easy steps, and then the details. Now I'm taking some of the green with some of the brown and just darkening it a little bit. It just seemed a little too light to be green. I want this to look like it's kind of underground, but not totally dark, because I want to see the roots. So I'm just playing around with the colors. And when you kind of want a wash of color, but you don't want it to be opaque and block everything out that's underneath it, thin the paint a little bit. And I just thin it with water, although I think you can use glazing medium, but that's not something that I've experimented with yet, but I have seen people doing that. So what do you think? Did that improve it by putting the brown with the green to make it darker in that area? Now I'm using the archival ink and a makeup sponge, and I'm just darkening around the edges. And I'm using black here. I would say 90% of the time I do use black, or I go darker. And that just kind of frames, it kind of works well with the stamped image. And I put one layer, and then I decide if I want to go darker. And a quick cleanup and dry. Some of those craft paints I've had for 20 years. They're Delta Ceramicoat. So here I had the quote family, and then I just decided I didn't like the title being so small. So I grabbed my script stamps, and I'll put a link to a similar product. I can't find the exact product in there. And I just stamped it on tissue paper to get roughly the sizing to see if that would work. So then I'm kind of trying to position this. That's what you see me doing. I'm just kind of putting a mark of where the F goes so that I have some idea. And off to the side, I'm stamping into black acrylic paint that I've just spread on my craft mat. You could use archival ink. I just find I get a darker stamp using acrylic paint. I really like this script stamp. You know, you kind of put it, if you push it close together, it kind of looks like, you know, that it's been written. And I just take the stamp afterwards and I put it on a baby wipe. That's what you see me doing there. I think I smudged one of the letters, so I ended up wiping it off and going back. So that's one of the benefits of making sure that your background is completely dry. Oh, there's where I made the mistake. It kind of smudged. So I'm going in with the baby wipe, just kind of cleaning it up as much as possible, and then restamping. Then I've taken the rest of the sentiments and glued them down. And now I'm just using a liner pen and outlining the hearts. Some of the paint just went over the black edge, and I just wanted to sharpen that up a bit. I think this would make a lovely Mother's Day or Father's Day kind of gift. Or just even, you know, any time of the year gift. Family reunion and the like. If you see any art in my videos that you might be interested in buying, please message me, private message me. It is something that I do want to do, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out all the details that are involved with selling my own art. And I'm just, since I have the micron pen there, I'm just touching up some of the black edges, sharpening it up a little bit. But I could have done that with the liner brush as well. Sometimes the reason I do one over the other is just simply it's what's close at hand. Oop. There, I thought that had been glued down off camera, but not so much. These are printed out with my laser printer, and the paper is a little bit thicker than copy paper. I find it stands up a whole lot better than copy paper. Now that my laser printer is it's jamming and it needs some TLC, I tried using just a regular inkjet printer, and it smudges. So I'm really hoping I can get my laser printer up and running again, because I use it a lot in my art. Then I've got my fine liner bottle here, and you've seen me do this before. I'm just doing a sketchy border around the outside edge. You could do swirls or curls or any shape that you want, but I just like doing that. And here is the final project. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you give something like this a try. Bye for now.